thought I cry a lot, but that guy is something. He's almost crying as he's talking. He's a great player. But I wanted to say earlier, as my opening statement or whatever, it doesn't matter, that we're very fortunate to just have a lot of freedom, you know. There's people dying every moment, you know, that don't have the freedom to express, let alone a C chord, you know what I mean? So here we are playing, whether it's a bar mitzvah or Johnny Mathis, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, or, you know, or play by myself without anybody telling me what to do. If I want to play for 5 hours and bore myself or play the greatest stuff, you know. So I think just a moment to be grateful, because I think creativity is another way to say it. It's in the same thing. Like, I love my wife a lot. When your heart's open, creativity can flourish, can flow. When you're uptight, I never get to the piano or play my saxophone if I'm angry. One of my friends that I went to Berklee with, Lou Forestieri, really good player, he writes out for Murder, She Wrote, or one of those TV shows. He banged on the piano once. He says, if, you know, he's just trying to make a point. He says, if you give the piano this, it's like a mirror. It reflects back what you are in the moment. If you want to put, like, my favorite piano player, McCoy Tyner, he said on his first album, I'm trying to play the most with a lot of beauty. So I try to approach it the same way, you know.
So let me ask you a question about that, because I wrote radio commercials and stuff for years, and a lot of that stuff is under pressure all the time. Like, you're doing one and they want one tomorrow, you know, they never talk, that kind of thing. And you have to be under, what kind of pressure are you under when you write a hit album that sells millions of copies, and like now you got to come up with a follow-up? I mean, like, there's some pressure there, isn't there?
I got myself very uptight. I put myself through some changes, knowing that I'm sitting at a piano in Mill Valley, and I'm knowing that we're famous, and a million people are going to hear the next Fred Lipsius chart, for better or worse. If it's not good, we probably wouldn't have used it if everybody didn't. I won't say everybody, but people that made decisions. So I put some pressure on myself, which I wish I didn't. You know, obviously I got the stuff out. But the other thing about me as an arranger, I never studied other than 3 months at Berklee. So I'm very naive. I'm childlike. And as a piano player, I don't play correctly. My saxophone playing is totally studied. So I have the child and the knowledge. I'm like the teacher and the kid. I just thinking about this as, you know, but I did put myself through a lot of stuff unnecessarily. I didn't have a way to write charts. Dick Callaghan went to Manhattan School of Music, and he told me recently that every week he had to do a chart for singers or for brass or this. I didn't have to do that other than in a couple months at Berklee. So I'm imitating stuff. And is that chord okay? I just do it, and it's fun. You know, I had some. I'm not going to play it like the end of Just One Smile, one of the tunes. I wrote a classical little bum 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 ba-dum bum bum, some kind of a thing. I never listened to Bach, you know, but there's bits of that, and it sounds good to me musically. At least I'm good for 8 bars or less, and that's about all good, you know, for Fred. But.
No. So you raised a good point, I think, about. I think the musicians. I try to explain this to people, and I'm not sure how to actually explain this. For me, musicians are very special people, and this is probably true of artists and people who have a creative process where we do this all the time. We don't think like everybody else thinks, and if you're not a musician, then it's very difficult, I think, for people to understand. Because I think most musicians have this childlike thing. I don't think we ever really grow up for some reason. And we are, a lot of us are introverts, I think, and I do think that we do care about what other people are thinking about what we are doing. Do you like my music? You don't like my music? All of the things like that. And it's very difficult existence. I mean, like even as teachers, like you want your students to like you. And so, I mean, how do you do that? Like when you walk into a classroom and stuff, you have to sort of be creative in the fact that you need to get your stuff across. You have to show them that you love what it is that you're doing, and you want to have that love come back to you and stuff like that. So do you have any thoughts on that process when you're teaching? I mean, I know that's a difficult question.
I'll throw something out that is sort of all-encompassing, I think. I probably don't do this in class too much, but with all the music I write and books, I've written 6 books, major publishing companies, not millions of books, but sold. It's just jazz, just jazz. But I always, this is just me, I ask, before I sit down, I say thank you. May whatever I do be for the good of all. Like God's will be done, not Fred's. I don't have a big ego about it. I think I'm just starting as a kid. I know I'm a really good player, but so what? You know, it's endless. Music, I would need 1 billion lifetimes to duplicate a bit of, if you want to call it God or what's out there. Just look at a sunset. As good as I've played, I can't match that, I don't think. You know, maybe to someone else that could care less about a sunset. So I always put it out that way. I let whatever I do reach as many people as you want it to reach, whoever you is, you know.